Hello and welcome to the Madison podcast, the best mortgage and real estate podcast on the planet, end quote, Ben's mom. Today we have a very, very special guest, one of the most senior members of our core, as we like to call it, here at Madison. I think Dan has actually been with the team longer than I have. And I've been with them 10 years, or with us 10 years. So without further ado, please welcome again, very special guest, Mr. Daniel L. Spiegel.
Oh, I like the L in there. That's very nice, Ben. Thank you. I really like that L.
And it stands for lioness.
No, very funny. Very funny. I like it that Ben says the most senior. That's true.
I didn't mean it in that way.
Happens to do with everything. That's okay. I mean, as I'm getting older, and I'm intending on getting older,
yes.
I'm becoming more and more senior. So I have no idea what it's anything to do with the business, but it certainly has to do with getting older.
This business definitely can age you. Ask the top of my head knows very, very well. And you were a witness. I was with Dan back in Melville at one of our old companies with a full head of hair. It was actually the exact opposite. My hair was here, and I had nothing here.
It's exactly true. It's quite shocking to see this young man. And, but the truth of the matter is that I have all of his hair. So the interesting thing is, he should have paid more attention to what was going on in the office.
I should have.
And that was it.
Yeah, that's great. That's so true. Okay, Dan, so let's start from back to the beginning. And you have this could go many different ways because you have a ton of experience in the business. So let's start with the basics of how did you get into the business? Did the mortgage business appeal to you, or did you just land in it? Because I know for me, it wasn't like, yes, mortgages. It just kind of made sense for me. So, how was it for you?
Well, I think it was kind of a progression in the fact that for many, many years, I was in the finance business anyway. It had nothing to do with mortgages. It had to do with asset-based financing, where you would take large pieces of equipment and you would finance them based on their residual values, et cetera, et cetera. I had my own company and eventually sold that company and decided that I would retire. That didn't last a long time due to the fact that my wife truly was thinking of killing me because she wanted me out of the house. So one thing led to another, and at that time my son-in-law was involved with mortgages. And he said to me, "Dad, you would probably love this. You would enjoy, working with the people, you would enjoy helping them, and you would certainly understand the numbers and it would make sense." So that is how I got into the mortgage business. Quite possibly as a lifesaver, because if I didn't get out of the house, I might have been killed.
Yeah. What would you do with it anyway?
That's
You're better off
true.
spending all your time with us. You love us anyway. We love you.
Well,
Everybody wins.
That's
100% true.
It is true because when we had COVID and we were all out of the office, I really miss my kids. And everybody here are my kids. They are.
We are.
I don't like to say that to some of the ugly ones, but they are. They're all my kids.
That's so good.
But there's only a few of those.
I love it.
And they know who it is, so it's not a
The
problem.
ugly ones know who they are. And it's definitely not me, right?
Definitely not. Of course not.
He's lying. Okay. So this is amazing so far.
You know what, eh?
I love this. So you entered in the mortgage business through your son-in-law. So let's go through, because you've seen a lot of different aspects of the business, like during different times, right? So how has the business to you progressed? Not just talking about retail versus broker, which we are now, but even before then and moving to a retail shop, moving to broker. What are the main differences that you've seen, not just from the business standpoint, but the behavior of consumers as well? Because I find that interesting personally.
Well, I really think if you tried to get into an analysis of where everything went and then try to say, well, the consumer went with it, the consumer really didn't go with it, in my estimation. The consumer is now totally, from what I can see, if they really understand what's going on, should be involved. If they're looking for mortgage money, they should be involved on a broker platform and not on a main bank platform. When it all started, everybody went to the bank to get a mortgage.
Yeah.
Why? Because that's where the money was. No one knew anything else about anything else. I mean, this is way before I got into this business. But the truth of the matter is that as people went more and more to banks and the broker platform grew and grew, they started to realize that, one, if you go to a bank, you're going to end up in a little box. I don't mean you're going to end up in a little box because it's a big bank and they put you in a box. I mean that they take you and they take your qualifications and they put you in one of their little boxes.
Yep.
And if you fit in that little box, great, you got a mortgage. The rate is this, the rate is that. All their fees are hidden, et cetera, and everybody's happy. They go away, and that's it. The bank does very well, so to speak, and everyone's happy. But the consumer didn't realize that he could have been a lot happier if he understood what was going on. And that is exactly what happens now when you're in when you're on a broker platform. We show everything. We explain everything.
Up front, too. Up front. The
Up front.
initial
It's not something that comes later.
Yeah.
And you say, oh, that's great. No.
And which kind of to add and to give the audience some perspective, the majority of, smaller correspondent retail lenders, they put whatever they want to put on their loan estimates, and then final closing disclosure, here are your fees, here are this, here are that, because they're able to hide it. Legally, they have the ability to do so because they can do whatever they want. But sorry, continue.
No, well, that's the point is exactly correct. On the broker platform, we cannot, will not, and do not hide anything. It's right up front. It's prior to even getting the loan moving forward.
Yeah.
So it's a big difference, and I think the consumer is starting to understand that. And it's really why we have grown so enormously, but we all came from a bank platform.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. How was business 10, however many years ago it was? I mean, for me, January 13th is going to be my full 10th year. So, and you were obviously part of the team. Donna came on a week or two later. So how was business for you back then, just in general, in terms of like how you conducted business, how everything transpired compared to today?
Well, I think that today it is so drastically different in the fact that in the bank situation, we really did not dwell on multimedia. We did not dwell on people coming to us through, I hate to use the word leads because I don't like that word, but it truly is something. People call or we call them, et cetera. It is totally different than people either walking into a bank or looking through the telephone book and calling up a bank.
Great point.
It's just it's completely different. And as all of our young people, which includes you, Benny, which is such a nice thing.
Not anymore. The new
that's
blood is
true.
younger than
Right.
me. They're making me feel old.
Yes,
but thank you.
You are approximately the age of some of my socks. Yes, it is true. You're getting older.
I got socks this time. Usually I get underwear.
That's
socks is a improvement for me. I got promoted. But
I'm kind of outgrowing some of that underwear stuff. But in any event, social media is so enormous now. It is beyond anything that I have ever seen. And of course, I could really explain that because in the beginning, whatever the beginning really is, my work career was involved with computers. And those computers, believe it or not, were just at the cusp of moving from punch cards, if anybody even remembers those, to tape. This is the truth. We were selling computers that sold for Honeywell and IBM, and we were selling computers that have just started to use tape drives. So social media today compared to what was going on then, we would take and sell a $2 or $3 million computer, and this phone has more capabilities now than that $3 million piece of equipment.
That is insane and scary.
It is.
Makes you wonder where, technology will be in 100 years. That's absolutely madness.
We all knew it then. We all knew it then that it was coming, those of us that were in that industry. And we knew it was coming. And what is coming further, not that this is the forum for it, but as the machines start to design the machines, it's going to be quite a world.
Yeah, it's going to be very different. Like a Tom Cruise movie, Minority Report, something like that. Okay, so yeah, technology has changed the game tremendously. So you're saying how it's basically changing how consumers are reaching out to us, or rather how we're reaching out to them. But
both ways.
But
both
yeah,
ways.
but there's still that world of, word of mouth, right? I feel anyway, because I find that, Dan, a lot of our business has grown here at Madison because of, quite simply, our rates are really, really low, and our fees are they're basically zero, or they're very close to zero. So that, that's not being spread around through social media. I think that's really word of mouth. It must be.
I can attest to that by giving you a couple of examples.
Please.
I mean, it is quite astounding that if you want to call them leads, we have a list of people, we give them a call or they call us, and you end up talking to people, whereupon I have several of them, and just too recently, just stick in my mind so incredibly. We had one gentleman who had been dealing with, Quicken. I don't know if we even want to use the words or whatever. We're dealing with Quicken.
I bash Quicken on here at least once a week, so
okay,
you're allowed to.
Good.
Yeah.
So Quicken was dealing with this gentleman for over 2 months, and they were literally driving him crazy. He was trying to get some cash out of his refinance so that he could use the money for his son's dental school. So they were going round and round and round with him for 2 months. I happened to call him, did not know who he was. I just happened to call him, and he starts telling me about all of this, and I say to him, listen, this is ridiculous. Why don't you just get me some of this information? I really believe I can help you, and there's something wrong here. There's something going on that's wrong.
Yep.
Well, he did. He gave me the information. We put it all together. To make a long story short, within 3 weeks from the day I spoke to him, we closed his loan on a cash-out basis. He received $89,000 instead of the 10 or 20 he was going to get. The loan was closed, and he has actually asked if he could come in here and talk in this forum because that's how he feels.
That's amazing.
I got another one which just is about to close, which will close.
First, we have to do that.
Which will close.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay. I have another one coming in right now. Do you want to hear about that or not?
I do.
All right. The gentleman was dealing with one of the largest banks in the world, Chase, and they were chasing him around in a circle, and he was about to close on a Monday. I spoke to him on Sunday. He told me his tale. I said, this is ridiculous. I said, call them up and tell them that you want to extend your closing, and let's talk on Monday morning and get all your information. That was 2.5 weeks ago. Chase had asked him to bring $21,000 to the table to close his loan. We are now going to close this coming Tuesday. Instead of him bringing $21,000 to the table to close his loan, he is getting $29,000, and he also would be thrilled to come in here and tell exactly what we did for him.
That's amazing.
It's not fair to say that, Chase is a gigantic bank. They're all bad. No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying that their ability to move on things and do things is nothing near my calling up and getting an answer. They have to call in Ohio or who knows where to get an answer. There's 10 million people. They're all running around in circles. The guy could never get him on a Sunday or a Saturday. He couldn't get him in the evening. Big difference.
It's a huge difference, and I'm with you. it's a company. They're not out to kill you. They're just doing business and trying to provide mortgages. Like, I use Chase for my personal checking and savings, and I always love to say,
you're
Chase,
a very silly fellow.
Chase has the best tellers on the planet. If you need an excellent teller, you go to Chase.
Yeah,
if
well,
you need
why
an
don't you go
excellent
in there?
mortgage advisor, you come to us. It's a different experience. So
That's
Dan,
true.
Dan, what was obviously if you remember, do you recall like what was the primary difference between like how you structured the loan versus like how the other companies did that gave them that much more money? Because that's an astounding difference.
Well, it's an astounding difference because they weren't taking into effect all of his income. Mm-hmm. They were not looking at the value of his house. And this, by the way, is something I advised him of. They charged him for an appraisal. Mm. And the appraisal came in. I remember the number, not that it would matter for this form, but I remember the number. The number came in at $715,000.
Okay.
And we looked up the house. We looked it through our system. We took a look at what we thought it was in comparable values. And that made no sense whatsoever. So we advised him to do an appraisal. We were luckily enough, we got it done quickly enough.
Mm. You must have.
And the appraisal came in well
weeks.
over $750,000. Now, my question is this. I've always questioned this. When a big bank does an appraisal, and they use their own appraisers, which is very interesting compared to what we use. Yeah. We have to use people who are totally independent.
Yeah.
When they use their own appraisers, I just wonder to myself, since they're being the ones that are going to guarantee the mortgage, and they're the ones that are going to hold the mortgage, and want to keep it as strong for themselves as possible, could they possibly be coming in with lower numbers? I don't know. I wouldn't say that was true or not, but sure looks that way.
Of course, we have no way to prove it, and we wouldn't make that accusation without having some type of
not an
proof.
accusation.
It's not.
I'm asking.
I know, but I can say this, which will agree with your point, is that every person that I've spoken to in the business, when they're dealing with an appraiser from one of these larger banks, the appraisers happen to be extremely conservative to the point where it's not realistic. Because at the same token, you don't want over-aggressive appraisers. You want
of course
accurate.
not.
You want accurate appraisers. So they're too low, and unfortunately, in this case, for both of your clients, right, it messed up their transactions. Which
but a difference of $35,000 on a local home is very strange.
Yeah, tremendous.
Very, very strange. Yep. And that was the tail that kind of wagged the dog, because all those numbers changed. Everything changed. And the gentleman is exceptionally happy.
Good. Thanks to you.
Nice and job. I'm happy that he's happy.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy.
Well, let's talk about that then. So something that, we always say that you always say nice things behind people's backs, or at least we try to. So there's something that we always say that we admire about you greatly is that your clients absolutely love you. Anytime we see one of your Zillow reviews, it's so descriptive, and it's like multiple paragraphs and essays talking about, what an amazing job that you did. And of course, it's not magic, right? You're not doing anything crazy. But can you just tell us about your approach to how you deal with clients? Maybe it's a communication thing, it's upfront transparency. It's a hard question to ask, like what makes you so awesome, but your clients do love you, and there's a reason. So, what do you think it is that they particularly enjoy when it comes to working with you?
Well, I do believe that, and I always have, and I've been in sales a long time.
Yep.
And you really need to make people feel comfortable. And the way to make them feel comfortable is, as far as I personally am concerned, is that they need to realize that you're a person just like them. And you have either more experience in life or less experience, but still you experience the same things that they do. You understand what they want to do, and you can assure them that what you're going to do is pretty much what you would do for yourself or your family or anyone that you're close to. And the approach is, I never, ever tell them something I'm not sure of, because all it takes is one time. and they get uncomfortable, etc. I don't throw stones at the competitors. I don't. I just say, well, this is what we do. I don't know sure what they're doing, but you know what they're doing.
Yes.
And if you want to tell me what they're doing, that's fine. If you don't, that's okay. I don't need to know. You know. This is what I'm doing. This is what I believe you're going to get. This is what's going to happen. I have a whole team behind me. The truth of the matter is that this is going to happen so quickly that you're not going to believe it after everything that you've been going through. And especially on a refi, people are coming and looking for money, or they're looking to do something. And if they're doing that, they want it to happen quickly. They don't want to go through what they've gone through in the past, and many of them have. And I kind of assure them as much as I can that I understand what they've gone through. I understand what they're looking at. And usually it works. And with really young people, even younger than you, Benny, which there are a few. So even,
Great.
I don't want to say that I play the grandfather role, but in many cases I truly am, old enough to be their grandfather. And there's just no reason for me to make them feel anything other than comfortable, that I'm going to help them, and I'm never going to push them, and I don't push them.
Yeah. It's quite a simple approach.
It's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not making it complicated. You're not using any tactics or timing or anything strange.
It's
just
the truth. I had a guy this morning who said to me, please don't run my credit. I said, I'm not going to run your credit until you tell me to run it. Why would I run your credit? I don't care what your credit is. We're talking about what's going on. He said, all these other guys are calling me. They want to run my credit. I said, well, that's because they don't care about you. All they care about is getting the number on that credit to see if they can do a mortgage. They don't care what happens to you. And that's the difference. I don't need to see the number. We'll see it later. I said, and on top of it, I will send you the report. They won't send you the report unless you tell them you want it.
Yep.
And why don't they do that? Because they don't care. All they care about is what the number is on the report. The report could be totally worthless and wrong, but they don't care.
Yep.
So I send you the report. That's it.
Simple.
Simple.
It makes you trustworthy too, right? Because it kind of communicates that, I feel that the majority of the lenders that aren't willing to send out the credit reports, it's because they're scared that they're going to use that report to shop around.
Absolutely.
Right. So by you giving it to them, it communicates that you're not desperate. You're not worried that they're going to. No, I'm not saying that's the intention of what you're doing.
No, but the truth of the matter is that
Yeah.
it differentiates me from everyone else that they have spoken to. It does.
Yeah.
Because not one of them has said, well, I'll send you the report.
True. It's a good point.
And yeah, they could take that report and run around to other people. But so what?
Yeah.
I don't, it's true. We run the report. That's it.
Simple. Okay. I like it. Any other fun stories? Because I really like
Do you
these
need a mortgage?
examples. I always need a mortgage.
Okay.
To do for someone. So, and any other stories, Dan? I feel like you've got tons of these little, tidbits of people who have experience with other lenders and then kind of come over to us.
Well, I don't want to dwell on it. What's the point? You have lenders out there, and that's also, I think, a bit of a misnomer. It's not the lender. It's the people that are talking to the borrower. It's not a lender. Is Chase Manhattan a bad place? No. Is Citibank a bad place? No. There's nothing wrong with these places. There are certain levels of competency, experience, etc., that is out there working for these people. And I'm not saying anything bad about them either. Half of them have no idea what goes on after they get a number and send it up the road to somebody else.
Yep.
So, what's the point? What is it? We have experienced people. We know what we're doing. We're very team-oriented. We get deals done very quickly. It's a big difference.
That is true. Speaking of differences, Dan, we kind of touched on it before, but I would like you to dive a little bit deeper and kind of the differences, not just in the consumer experience, but your experience as a loan officer between when we were in retail a few years ago and, transitioning to broker. What are the major benefits, both, not just that the consumer has enjoyed, but you as an originator?
Well, I think going back to what I said about the little boxes that you would put people in.
Well, that's that's for the bigger banks, right? But
even
retail lenders.
Even mortgage banks.
Yeah,
you don't have to be a big bank to set up a bunch of little boxes with a bunch of underwriters that only look at things in one way.
Yeah.
So the truth there is that the experience is showing that now that we are, yes, we primarily use one or two lenders, but those lenders are exceptionally flexible.
Yeah.
They're exceptionally fast. And we know how we can move from one venue to another, so to speak. If it has to be, as you know, a broker can do a loan various different ways for fees. So the truth is we can move back and forth for these things for the benefit of the borrower. And that primarily is the difference. In the mortgage banks, that flexibility usually is not as relevant.
I agree. It's not something that I experienced in the retail channel whatsoever.
No.
Very rigid, and the amount of unnecessary overlays was just silly. And I found that we did well because fortunately Shaw created a system, a very, very strong internal, like our own processing team with very strict turn times on submission and cleaning up files. But without that, we would have been
But we still
toast.
had to go up to the bank's underwriters.
That's true.
So it shortened the time and everything we did, but it brought it right back into the system of what was going on that retail basis for that bank.
Great point.
And there is where everything either slowed down, changed, or became difficult.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons that Shah decided this is enough. We can do very well. We have a good team of people. Why aren't we doing what's going on the broker platform? And I know that he looked at it for a long time before he decided, guys, let's go become brokers.
Yeah, it was a gamble, kind of. We didn't really know exactly. He knew, he did his research, he had spoken to people, but at the end of the day, you don't really know until you try it. And the broker channel didn't have much of a voice or a presence in New York, right? Because now Madison has been in business for almost 2 years, and we are the #1 brokerage in the state, right? And we have been for some time. So I think that's a combination of us being really awesome, and also there aren't that other many brokers out there, right? It's both.
There's a lot of brokers out there, and there's going to be more and more of them.
Oh yeah, they'll come.
But very few of them are going to be able to reach this level, and some will. It's going to take them a long time to get there.
Yeah, it will. But look, at the end of the day, as long as I feel the broker platform continues to grow, because I think we're at like 22% market share. Like 3-4 years ago, we were closer to about 16, 17. And as long as the broker platform keeps growing, it will just benefit consumers more and more and more.
Absolutely. And as long as the large banks continue to ratchet things down to where it is more difficult to do something, the greater the propensity for the broker platform to grow. There's just no doubt about it. And you see it happening. And many of the banks, as far as I know, are kind of shying away from the mortgages now. It's a little bit more difficult for them to do them. They're not making as much money.
On purpose, too.
They're not making as much money because the brokers have exposed to the marketplace what they've been doing.
Yeah. It's going to keep going that way. And truth be told, it's really great for us because that's our competition. The only thing that we're competing with is a brand name, but other than that, everything that we provide, more or less, is
Well,
better.
Nothing makes me happier than for somebody to say to me, yeah, well, my mortgage is at Wells Fargo, and I really want to do something, but I called the guy, he didn't call me back. What do you guys do?
Yeah.
To me, that's like music to my ears.
Yeah.
Because it's exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to start giving him numbers. He's going to try to get numbers from Wells. He's not going to get them. They're going to go round and round, and we're going to do the loan.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's not a bash on Wells. We have friends that work at Wells, and we're all happy and dandy.
No, I'm not
but,
throwing,
But it's like you said, it's not the company, it's the individual loan
No,
officer.
it's not. It's not the company.
Because I have a friend that works at Wells that I occasionally refer some business to, and he is exceptional. You know, his clients, everyone that I refer to him, absolutely love him. But I often get people that say, I know someone else that went to Wells, they didn't have the best experience, and that's because it's a different person.
Well,
Just
not
like you
only
said.
not only that, it's a different way of doing business.
True.
It's a different way of making things happen. So I don't want to have this forum go out there and have hitmen from Wells and Chase chasing me down the street. I don't.
Let them come, you'll beat them off.
Well, that's probably true.
Yeah.
I don't run as fast as I used to, though.
There's only one way to find out. All right, Spiegel. So this was fantastic. Before we head off into the sunset, any
I've
final...
been heading off in the sunset for a long time, and as a matter of fact, as the sun keeps getting lower in the horizon.
Especially this time of year.
Yes.
But before we end, any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our audience on basically anything? It could be mortgage, it could be life, it could be hair, it could be whatever you want.
Now you're really opening me up to.
I am.
That's
This is your forum.
I don't want to do that, Ben. You know that I'm capable of certain things that I do not want to put on tape, but we'll leave that alone. I just want to say that it's been a life-sharing experience to see what has happened with Madison Mortgage.
Yeah.
We were a group of people. There must have been 7 of us,
Yep.
right? 7, 8 people. What are we now, 40, 50?
More, there's like 80.
80?
Yeah.
You see, I can't even keep track of it. It's just incredible. We used to do mortgages and get mortgages done. It'll take 6 weeks. We can do them in 2 weeks. We can do them in a week if all the documents are there.
Every day.
And we do. It's just incredible to see the levels of people. And I was just thinking about it since Thanksgiving is coming up in the next couple of days. I used to write a little thing to my brokerage family, because it was only 8 or 10 of us, and I would say, it was great.
I remember
I
those
spent more
messages.
time with you guys than I do with my own family. It's nice. I'm glad to see you, all your children growing, et cetera, et cetera. I can't write that anymore. I mean, I could, but half of the people would say, "Who is that?" So it's just astounding to me to see what's happening, and there's no doubt that we are going to get stronger.
Of course.
There's just no doubt, because there's no place to go but forward from what we're doing. We're not doing anything wrong. We're doing everything right. So it's just going to keep going, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
And we're glad that you are. Mr. Daniel L. Spiegel, ladies and gentlemen.
Remember the L. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate you.
Great. Thanks.